It's good to be back. Last week, my daughter had surgery, so we did not do our weekly hormone chats. So, back at it this week to talk about sleep. For those of you who are on our email list, you got an email. I wanted to share with you guys my client, Catherine. We had our coaching call yesterday. For those of you who don't know, I'm Dr. Lisa Brown. I do both one-on-one and group perimenopause coaching. So this is for women typically who are in their 40s who are struggling with their perimenopausal symptoms to the point where it's really impacting your quality of life. There are a lot of things we can do to make this phase of life not only manageable, but even enjoyable. In fact, we can actually support you to be the best version of you, or I'd argue even a better version of you in perimenopause. So I wanted to share with you this story about my client, Catherine. She's currently one of my one-on-one clients, and this is week 7 of us working together. Our one-on-one program is 12 weeks for most women, and this is week 7. And she hopped on our weekly coaching call, and she was so excited to tell me that we had achieved our goal. The main reason that we started working together was her sleep. Catherine's 48 years old. Well, I'll tell you a little bit of background first. She's 48 years old. She still cycles regularly, no period changes whatsoever, even at 48. But about 2 years ago, when she was 46, she started having a really hard time sleeping. She tried different over-the-counter things that wasn't working, melatonin and whatnot. She ended up going to talk to her doctor about getting a prescription sleep medicine, which she did. She tried that for a while and had really bad side effects. Couldn't take that anymore. But what's interesting is when she saw her doctor and the sleep med was prescribed, hormones were never mentioned, even though she was 46 years old, really in the prime time for perimenopausal changes to start happening. But that wasn't mentioned. So this sleep saga continued for her. It started with her having a hard time falling asleep at night. As time progressed, it escalated into falling asleep at night as well. So she's kind of progressing along the perimenopause spectrum, is what these symptoms say to me. So anyway, fast forward to now. Fortunately, she decided to investigate further and has now determined that it's her hormones and that she's actually in the thick of perimenopause, even though, again, her hormones are her period is still completely normal. So, week 7 of us working together, and again, our main goal was to try to get this sleep situation figured out for her. So, she shared with me that she fell asleep easily. And not only that, but she actually slept through the night, and she didn't wake up until 4:50 the following morning. She actually teared up when she was saying this. But the funny part was she hopped over that part. And that was like the big thing we've been working towards, right? Was the sleep, but she hopped over that. And then she was like, but guess what? I had this huge presentation today. And instead of feeling foggy and forgetful and feeling like I don't articulate myself well, like I've been feeling a lot at work, she said, I killed it. I crushed it. Like my brain and my mouth connected for the first time in a long time. I was able to articulate words clearly. Like I blew this presentation out of the water. And I love hearing stories like that because it's like, that's what it's about, right? She was so happy about how she did on this presentation. And all it took was a little bit of working on her hormones behind the scenes. And the cool thing, the reason that I really wanted to share this with you is because you are no different than Catherine. If you are in perimenopause, even if you don't know for sure if you're in perimenopause and you're struggling with sleep, I want to make sure that you are an informed woman and know that it most definitely could be your hormones causing your sleep issues, especially if you're in your 40s or early 50s. So let's dive into that a little bit here over about the next 10 minutes or so. There are two main reasons that your sleep can go so haywire in perimenopause. Two main reasons we're going to talk about today. Anyway, number one is fluctuating estrogen. The fluctuating estrogen that happens when you reach perimenopause, right? Because we know you've learned through our weekly hormone chats that when we get to perimenopause, it's like, here's our estrogen, and then it starts going woo, 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 like a roller coaster, okay? We have estrogen receptors all throughout our body. We have hundreds of different bodily functions that estrogen is involved with, literally hundreds. So when your estrogen starts roller coastering like that, it makes sense that so many different types of symptoms occur. Symptoms all the way from sleep issues to skin itching, right? It can cause all sorts of things. Today, our focus is sleep. So when your estrogen is fluctuating, there's a couple of reasons that can impact your sleep. Number one, estrogen is involved with temperature regulation. So when your estrogen is going up and down, your brain is getting these mixed signals about how to regulate your body's temperature, right? It's like that. I go up, I go down, I go up and you're down, and your brain is like, whoa, wait, what? Am I hot? Am I cold? I don't know. Okay. So this difficulty in temperature regulation is what contributes to things like night sweats, okay, which are essentially hot flashes that you're getting at night, basically. So when you're having these night sweats, it's that fluctuation in estrogen that sends these mixed signals to your brain about your temperature regulation. It's very confused, right? So the temperature dysregulation is one key way that perimenopause can throw off your sleep, right? Even if you don't feel like they're like full-blown hot flashes, there is still internal temperature dysregulation happening, okay? So that is one factor at play. Another factor at play with this changing estrogen is that estrogen is, it talks very closely to serotonin. Serotonin is what some consider our feel good or happy neurotransmitter. If you are on an antidepressant, like if you're on Lexapro or Celexa, maybe, one of the ways that those medications work is they increase your serotonin, right? So think serotonin, happy, makes me happier, right? Or it helps with mood regulation. So another thing that serotonin helps with, in addition to mood, it also helps with sleep. So when you have this fluctuating estrogen in perimenopause, again, it's causing your serotonin to go a bit haywire as well, which can cause depression. It can also cause sleep issues because serotonin is linked to both of those things, primarily to mood and to sleep. Some other things that come up during perimenopause, the other big one I want to talk about today, in addition to estrogen, is your nervous system. Your nervous system is the part of your body that controls things that happen involuntarily or without you telling it to. For example, your pupils dilate or constrict depending on the darkness or light that you're around. You don't tell your pupils to dilate or constrict, they just do it, right? It's an involuntary function. That's part of your nervous system. When you are in perimenopause, your nervous system gets very stable. It gets very unstable. It gets very sensitive, if you will. Everything in your body, I'll just lay this out there, everything in your body is in a state of flux in perimenopause. You're going through significant internal shifts. So everything is kind of balancing on a fine line, whatever. It's a teeter-totter essentially, right? So we've got to be a little extra careful with how we're treating our body. We need to baby it a little bit more, so to speak, because our body is just kind of in that teeter-totter balanced state of flux. That's kind of how I look at our nervous system, right? It's teeter-tottering between this, eek, I'm going to switch over into this fight or flight, mayday state, which keeps you up at night, or your nervous system is going to teeter-totter over into this calm down body state. I call that your rest and digest state. two sides of your nervous system. You've got your fight or flight side, and you've got your rest and digest state. When you're in perimenopause, again, we want to baby our bodies. We want to give it extra TLC, and we want to do whatever we can to push it over into that rest and digest state. And we have to make effort. That has to be intentional. Otherwise, when we're operating in this state of flux, because most of us live very high stress lifestyles, we tend to teeter-totter over to the fight or flight state more. This can be really detrimental in perimenopause because you've got your estrogen going all over the place causing these symptoms. And now we've got our nervous system that is in this teeter-totter state, right? So you've got two different things here that we're talking about today that are majorly contributing to your sleep. Okay, so we need to do what we can to target both of these pathways. Your estrogen that's on the roller coaster, we want to target that. And then we want to target your nervous system, because when your nervous system teeters over to this fight or flight state, what does your body do? It's going to dump cortisol, which is your stress hormone. This is the opposite of what we want it to do when you're trying to sleep, right? We want the opposite. We want cortisol at its lowest. We want stress to be down so your body can teeter back over to that rest and digest state. So this is not an all-inclusive list of the things that are contributing to difficulty sleeping in perimenopause. These are two main things that I wanted to talk about today. Again, estrogen and the nervous system. And these are two areas that I focus strongly on with my clients. And this is exactly what we've been focusing on with my client, Catherine. Focusing on these two things, this is what led to her falling asleep with ease. This is what led to her staying asleep. Might I add, this was out without any prescription medication. This was out without any supplement. This is without any external aid, right? We are just retraining Catherine's body to produce and balance her hormones the way that it's designed to do, and the way that it's lost hold of along these years. If you're struggling with sleep, if this sounds familiar, this difficulty falling asleep, staying asleep, even if you don't have other signs of perimenopause, I encourage you to be thinking about your hormones. If you are a woman in your 40s and you have not had a hysterectomy and you have not achieved menopause, there's a very good chance you're in perimenopause. So before you jump to, prescription sleep meds or prescription medications of any kind, let's talk about it. Let's figure out what is going on in your life that is contributing, right? What are these factors that are coming in contributing to throwing your hormones off, which are throwing off your sleep? Let's correct those situations and let your body sleep on its own, and let's watch how things fall into place. So I wanted to share this story with you today. I'm actually working on a sleep guide that I will be sharing with all of you who are on my email list. So if you're not on my email list, make sure you do that right away. We'll be releasing that sleep guide soon. This is one of the main symptoms, if not the main symptom, that I work on with my clients, because it's so prevalent in perimenopause, again, because there are so many factors that are all coming together and contributing to this difficulty sleeping. All of these things are things that you can overcome, just like Catherine, once you have the skills to support your body the right way. You just might need somebody to kind of hold your hand for a bit and show you the way. If you need help in this area, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much for your time today. As always, make sure you send in your questions for a future hormone chat.